Welcome back to Africa 54. I'm Vincent Makori in Washington. Now, victims of Cyclone Idai in Zimbabwe are calling on the government to expedite relief aid. As Columbus Mavunga reports from the hard-hit city of Chimanimani, the government is appealing to the international community for help with medicine, food, and infrastructure.
Mourners buried the body of a 17-year-old boy who was found suffocated in the mud after Cyclone Idai hit this part of eastern Zimbabwe on March 16. He was with his grandfather, who was also killed when their house collapsed on them while asleep. Now the family has nothing left. It is all gone.
After we could not find father in the collapsed house, we went down to the stream looking for him. We then found his body in this mud, but not my nephew, so we are digging for him.
Late Friday, the body was found here, but the issue of hunger and shelter remains. The Dube Magoso family, about 500 meters away, is dealing with the same issue. Their 83-year-old father was suffocated when their house collapsed last week during the storm. The mother escaped with several injuries. Their son, Musavengana Dube Magoso, says they want and need government help.
The government must look for a better place to resettle us so that we can get some income to ensure the remaining get some source of livelihood. So far, we have no food. All we have planted to get food was washed away by the rains. We have been reduced to zero here in Chimanimani.
Zimbabwe's government has released $17 million for relief aid, aiming to ease the effects of Cyclone Idai. President Emmerson Mnangagwa has declared Saturday and Sunday as days of mourning for those who perished in the storm. Columbus Mavunga for VOA News, Chimanimani, Zimbabwe.
Traditional rulers in northern Nigeria are seeking ways to improve access to routine immunization in the region. At a meeting in Kaduna attended by leaders including the Sultan of Sokoto, solutions that could aid the eradication of deadly diseases that affect children were proffered. Channels Television's correspondent Chimezie Enyocha compiled this report.
Traditional leaders exert considerable amount of influence on members of their communities, and their buy-in for a cause is essential. That's the essence of this meeting of the Northern Committee on Primary Healthcare Delivery. In attendance are the Sultan of Sokoto, Alhaji Abubakar Saad, and other traditional rulers, as well as officials from the Federal Ministry of Health and Development Partners. The committee was set up about 10 years ago, has become a quarterly engagement to assess the state of primary health care in the region. It also aims to appraise the campaign for routine immunization towards the eradication of deadly diseases such as polio. The Sultan of Sokoto stresses the need for government to establish and equip more primary health care centers across the country, especially in rural communities. According to him, this is the only way the campaign against child killer diseases will be achieved.
There are so many buildings across the villages in the name of clinics, but there's nothing there, no nurses, nothing. So we'd like to see how state governments and federal governments can now embark on construction and equipping of full healthcare facilities across not only in the local government, but in all the major towns and villages where we have a large population of our people. I think that will help so that as we talk to people to come to hospitals, they will have these hospitals.
For the Executive Director of the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency, Dr. Faisal Shuaib, the deep-rooted traditional leadership in northern Nigeria is an advantage for reaching the people. He calls for stronger collaboration between the traditional leaders and the government.
We recognize at NPHCDA that it is by the leadership roles that traditional leaders have provided in the health sector that we have now made giant strides in primary health care, especially when it comes to the control of diseases that have bedeviled our communities for several decades. Of note is the fact that because of the eventual and decisive involvement of traditional leaders, we're now only 5 months away from being declared polio-free.
Everyone here agrees that enlightening communities about the importance of the safety and potency of vaccines is crucial to preventing child mortality.
We began to make significant progress in polio eradication when the NTLC came together and cast away any doubts around the safety of vaccines, especially the polio vaccines. When community members saw that traditional leaders were advocating for people to take the vaccines and they were actually taking the vaccines themselves, then people became more comfortable with taking the vaccines.
Nigeria remains one of the polio endemic nations in the world. Efforts are geared towards attaining polio-free certification by the end of 2019 from the World Health Organization through platforms like this.
It's time now for a short break. As we do, we remind you to visit our website, channelstv.com, for news and other programming around the clock. You can also find us at youtube.com/channelsweb. Still to come, Uganda looks to better electricity as a Chinese-built hydropower dam is launched in the eastern part of the country. That story after the break.